Hi, my name's Billy, I read books, and this is my wrap up for the month of June of 2024, where I'm going to talk to you a bit about some life updates, a little bit about my other hobby outside of reading, which is running, and then about the books that I've read this month. And it's been a good but odd month in terms of my reading, but we will get to that. So, in terms of life updates, the weather in Northern England, where I live, has been typically English, as in it's been dismal and dreadful, apart from about 5 to 6 days where it's been uncomfortably hot. And in England, we're not set up for warm weather. We're set up for the dark, the cold, the wind, the rain. That's what we excel at. That's what we're used to. So when it's really hot, we're just not used to it. And when I say really hot, I'm talking about 25, 26 degrees Celsius. So, but it's like a muggy, oppressive, clammy kind of heat. It's not pleasant. So when it's like that, I hate that weather. I can't stand it. And when it comes to reading, I need to be comfortable and relaxed when I'm reading, not sat in a pair of shorts, no t-shirt on, no socks on, no shoes. I like comfy pajamas and a comfy pair of slippers, you know what I mean? Settle down in a chair and read, not sweltering, can't settle. So that affected my reading for the month. And it also meant that it kind of knocked other things out of kilter. I just couldn't really do lots of things that I would normally do because I was just uncomfortably hot. But once that ended, I was able to get out a bit more with the dog because she's a black lab. She retains the heat because of her dark fur. So once that was over, I was able to get out with her and she could enjoy the long grass and have a right good time. The Euros has been on, the Football European Championships. England are taking part, I'd say playing, but they're not really playing because they're absolutely dreadful, but have somehow got through to the quarterfinals at the time of recording this video. And I don't know how, because I've always, ever since, the earliest I can remember is the World Cup in 1990 in Italy. And ever since then, I have watched every single game on the TV where I can. Friendlies, qualifiers, championships, tournaments, World Cups, everything. And I'm always left disappointed because the England men's football team winning something is, I think, the only sporting achievement thing I'm yet to witness in my life that I never thought I would. So an English player winning Wimbledon, done that. England rugby team winning the World Cup, seen that. England men's cricket team win the Ashes, seen that. Over in Australia, I was there, saw it happen. What else? Formula One winner, seen that. Oh, crikey, there's loads of others as well, but the men's football team, it's just not going to happen. And I'm in my mid-40s now, and I'm thinking, am I ever going to see this? So this time round, when they're playing in the Euros, thinking, come on, lads, come on, you've got a really good team. But sadly, we've got a dreadful manager. And at the time of reading this, we've just sneaked past the mighty Slovakia. And we are probably going to end up getting our pants pulled down and getting our backside slapped by Switzerland in the next round. And I don't care because I hate the manager, Gareth Southgate. Can't stand him, think he's useless. So if we get knocked out, it means he gets sacked and we might get someone better in charge to lead our really good footballers. So that's that. So the Euros and watching the footballers took away reading time because I'm a nervous bag of nerves. I'm a useless bag of nerves when I'm watching the football. But the running, I've done all right. I've done the most I've this week gone. I've done 45 kilometres, which I think is the most I've ever managed in a week. And I'm keeping it pretty consistent. I did a 7-mile race this month. I've not raced that far for a couple of years. And it started off with a 3-kilometre uphill beginning start, which is not nice. And then it undulated for the rest of the way. So by the time I finished, I enjoyed it. It was good fun, but it floored me for days afterwards. So that gets us onto the books. Now, in terms of books read, bear with me because I've had a really good reading month because of one book, and it is the only book I've actually finished because I DNF'd the book. I DNF'd Battle Mage by Peter Flannery. This is an epic fantasy book that I had bought ages ago, years ago. I don't even know why I bought it, other than probably just the name. And I'd forgotten all about it until Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews reviewed it and gave it 5 stars. And my taste and Matt's kind of match quite a lot, about 90% of the time really. So I thought, I'll give this a go. Something different, something completely out of left field, I'll give it a go. And it's not a bad book. So I've DNF'd it, but it's not a bad book. It's just got a lot of things that don't work for me. So that's battle school, training school, combat school, whatever you want to call it. I am so sick of that. And it's not that this is done in a bad way. It's just I DNF'd it at 50%. And I'd say 35% of that was in this training school. It starts off with some big battle. But the main characters you're following aren't going to die in that battle, are they? Otherwise you're not going to finish the book. So there's no stakes there, there's no investment, because I don't know about the characters, I haven't got invested in them. So why do I care what's happening? If there's people who are dying on the page, well, these are just random characters, I don't really care about them. So yeah, I had to DNF that. And the naming convention with it as well just didn't work for me. For some reason it was based around French. So all the names of the places and a lot of the people sounded like French names, French places, which there's nothing wrong with that. It just kept, every time I read it, it was like another new name based on a French name or place. It just take me back a bit, because I was like, well, why French? I don't know why. And one of the names as well of one of the players, the characters, the surname was Ginola. Now, I'm of an age where I remember David Ginola, who used to play for Newcastle, Tottenham and France. So when I saw this character's name, I was like, oh God, I'm just going to picture David Ginola flying down the wing for Newcastle. And there was another character as well whose name, he's not the bad guy, he's just, a bit of a rival to one of our main characters. And you're not meant to like him, and he's not that nice of a person. And his surname, even though it's not French, was Sneijderson, which is just a bit of a poor choice of name. If other characters have got names like Ginola or other French-based names, why then call him Sneijderson? As in he's snidey, he's not to be trusted. Just didn't work. It kept on pulling me out of the story. So after struggling with it, with these various issues that are all me issues, these are all pertinent to me, maybe not to you, I gave up at 50% because I could feel myself getting into a reading slump. So I DNF'd it. But I was thinking, if I'm going to DNF it, I need to pick up something I really, really want to read. So I picked up this, Children of Earth and Sky by Guy Gavriel Kay. Now, the other month, I read my first Guy Gavriel Kay book, A Brightness Long Ago, and I gave it 5 stars. And I've given this 5 stars as well. It's not as good as A Brightness Long Ago, but it's a 5-star read. It's the bottom end of a 5-star read, but it's still fantastic. I didn't want it to end. It's about 560 pages, and I savoured it and I devoured it, and it's one of the reasons why I've only read that one book this month, because I just took my time with it. I was sitting down and taking an age to read 50 pages, and then I'd come back again the next day and I'd read another 30, and I'd look at my progression in the book, and I was getting nowhere in it, but I didn't care because it was just so good. And the story comes to an end, and I didn't want it to end. I wish he just carried on, and after the story concludes and the plots tie up, if the characters could have just carried on living their lives, and he could have carried on writing about them, I'd have been there happily reading along forever, because I just love the way he writes. So I'm going to do a spoiler-free review for that. Not many people watched my Brightness Long Ago review. I don't think Guy Gavriel Kay is that popular on Fantasy BookTube, but if you've not given him a go, I think you're really missing out. You at least need to try him. You at least need to give him a go. So I read that, and I was thinking, I'm enjoying this, but I always like to have another book on the go as well. So what can I read? I want something, excuse me, sneeze. So if you really wanted to see that sneeze, if that's the type of thing you want to see, I'll put it in the outtakes at the end. Don't know why you'd want to watch that, but let me know. Let me know if you do. So anyway, yeah, I was wanting to read another book, something easy, something short to read on my Kindle for like 20 minutes before bed or whatever, or in bed to help me get to sleep. So I was scrolling through my Kindle and I wanted something, just something just to grab me, to take me interest. And I saw a book by Murakami. Now I read Norwegian Wood a couple of years ago. Now with Murakami, I thought he was a science fiction writer because the book I have in mind for him is 1Q84, which I have. But I'd gone for Norwegian Wood initially, and that is not a science fiction book. That is a book about a student in the 60s in Tokyo who likes sleeping with the ladies. It is relationships with the ladies, primarily in bed. And it was not what I was expecting. It was all right. It was interesting enough, bearing in mind nothing really happened. And I gave it 3 stars. So I saw another book by Murakami, because I've got a few others, and it was only about 160 pages long. And the name of the book intrigued me. And it was called, let me get this right, What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. So I was thinking, oh, that's an interesting name of a book. Maybe this is one of the like a science fiction type books, which is why his name had cropped up in my mind, why I've seen some videos about him before. It's an interesting title for a book. It's only short. Maybe this will be a nice little gateway into like the science fiction type of books that he writes. No, this is him writing down his thoughts about his life and his career as a novelist and the running that he does. So it is literally what he talks about to himself and what he thinks about when he goes running. So it's not really what I was expecting, but it's okay. It certainly does the job of what I was after. I wouldn't recommend picking it up though. If you're not interested in him or running, it's pretty pointless. So the only other book I have started and I've probably read 20 pages, is book 2 of The 3-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. I think it's called The Dark Forest. I'm only just getting back into this now, so I can't say much about it. It's going to take a little bit for me to get back into it after what's it going to be? It's going to be a good few months since I read the first book, The 3-Body Problem. To get back used to especially the Japanese names and remember who's who and where the first book left off. But I'm hopeful, because I've not read a hard sci-fi book for a good few months now, that I'm going to enjoy getting back into this. And that's my month. 1 book completed, but boy was it a good one. So let me know what you've been up to this month, not just in reading, just in terms of your life. What have you been reading? Have you read anything good? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye. Right, if you really wanted to see that, more fool you. Well, I hope it was worth it.